Hello and welcome to this video. This is a video that I think is probably a long time coming. I think the pressure to make it has kind of been gradually mounting over the last, I'm gonna say 6, 7, or 8 months. And I think now is the right time to sit down and talk about some things. So we're gonna talk about some things. I've got some things to announce as well and some kind of pretty significant changes. And I've also got some things that I want to apologize to you in the community for, because I don't think that I have done my job. The first thing I want to talk about in this video is the recent survey, because I was going to call it the elephant in the room, but at this point, I think the elephant has grown to be bigger than the room, and there is currently no air in the room. First thing I want to say about the survey is, without a doubt, the survey sucked. And I want to talk about the specifics of the survey and the things that I specifically really didn't like about it. And then I also want to talk about why I didn't cover it. And that's going to lead us on to a lot of other things and a lot of other big changes that I'm going to be talking about in this video for me personally with how I work in this community. First off, survey, if you aren't in the loop, basically a survey was posted, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks ago, and the contents of the survey were basically different membership offerings in the form of a conjoint analysis. And the way that that's meant to work is you kind of offer people a random assortment of different offerings at different hypothetical price points. And then what comes out of that is you get like a really clear picture of what people like and what people really, really hate. And as one could expect, this was not well received at all, and rightfully so. Because as much as, a data-driven person like myself likes the idea of doing a conjoint analysis, we're not talking about imaginary fictional numbers in a fictional world. These are real numbers for real prices for things that your customers will have to pay for. And you're talking about your player base's hard-earned money. They decide if they want to give to the game, and you're kind of just throwing all of that in the blender. You're putting ideas out there that are absolutely outlandish and absolutely ridiculous. And I want to say right now, I think almost every single offering in that survey, whether it's intentional or it's just a conjoint analysis, or whether there was or there wasn't an intent to actually do these things, was absolutely terrible. And I think even worse than the specifics of the survey and the things that were in it and the things that were put in front of players, I think even worse than that is just the fact that it got out of the door. The term out of touch has been thrown around a lot by a lot of different creators, a lot of people in the community, and I tend to agree with that. I think it was pretty out of touch to put that in front of players and expect anything other than an absolute uproar, and rightfully so and deservedly so. That's what I think about the survey. I can't believe it got out the door. I was personally really disappointed, but I also know that a lot of people in the community were not just disappointed at the survey, they were also pretty disappointed in me for not covering it and not making a video on it. There were some people speculating that I had a stipulation in my contract that I couldn't say anything bad about Jagex or anything bad about management or decisions that were made. That is absolutely not the case. That is not a thing that has ever been said to me. I've never once been told, no, you can't talk about this, or if you talk about this, you're fired. And I would have never sold away the right to do that, even if it was presented to me. I think there's kind of a spooky precedent with creators who then kind of join Jagex and join the company, and then they kind of stop being creators. And I want to make it really clear, that was never my objective. My goal wasn't to leverage me being a creator to turn that into a big boy job working at a company, and then I leave my audience behind and I just work at the company and do that. That was never the objective. And that's why even in the last video that I made about this, when I first, announced that I was going to be in a new role, I made it very clear that I was going to remain a creator, and that was a priority to me. And I think for the first 5 or 6 months, I think it worked pretty well. I was kind of trying to play both sides. I was a Jagex moderator by day when I'm doing my actual daily work for those specific things that I'm contracted to do. And then, in the evenings and on the weekends, I'm making the most content I possibly can and the best content I possibly can. And I'm really proud of a lot of the work that I put in, and more importantly, my team put in as well, to basically pick up the slack. Because the fact that we were able to output the amount of videos we did this past year and the amount of streams that we did, while I've been way, way less available, it's really, really impressive to me. And my team, and especially editor Nathan, deserves so much props for all of the hard work he's put in. It's nothing short of incredible, and that's the only reason why I felt for that period of time I was kind of able to do both. But that being said, I think in the Runescape community, when things are going well, it's really, really easy. Everything is easy. It's easy to go out, it's easy to stream, it's easy to make videos, it's easy to have fun playing the game. And then when something like this survey happens, it's like there's a dark cloud over everyone in the community and everything. And I think, to me, that was the first test. And it was a test that I failed. I didn't make a video on the survey, and I absolutely should have. And I've spent the last 2 weeks basically just thinking about that and thinking about why I didn't make a video on the survey. About 7 months ago, I was announced as a Jagex moderator. Regardless of what I said or I didn't say about what I can talk about or what I can't talk about or what my responsibilities are, I think the second I became a JMOD in front of the community and also internally, that came with a set of expectations for how I was going to conduct myself, the things I would and the things I wouldn't talk about. I think those expectations were really hard for me to break. And that's the main reason why I didn't cover the survey. It wouldn't have been Ryan telling his community how he feels about the survey, or Ryan talking about the survey or sharing his thoughts on it. It would have been JMOD strikes back against his own company, whatever else employer. And I didn't want it to be about that. I wanted it to be about me sharing my thoughts with my community, because that's what we've always done here. That's what I did for Fresh Start Worlds when I went pretty hard on those. And the same thing with the Hero Pass situation as well, where I was here, I was sitting down, and I was giving my thoughts in kind of an open, candid, productive way. So that's why I didn't cover the survey. But I also know that in this community, there's an expectation on me that I don't talk about it often. I'm not going to be that person making a Jagex ruin the game video every 3 weeks. But when there's actually big shit to talk about, there's an expectation that I'm going to be here talking about it. And I dropped the ball. I really just want to apologize to the community. I know a lot of people understand. I know a lot of people get why things happened the way that they happened. And I also know a lot of people are really upset with me and are really disappointed in me as someone that they viewed as a community voice, and I didn't use it in this instance. I think that's a problem, and something that I dislike greatly about apology videos, if you can call this an apology video, is when a person apologizes and says, oops, sorry, won't happen again, my bad, and then nothing changes. I think an apology can only be sincere if there is action that follows it up. So that's really what this video is about, and that's really the big update and the big bombshell in this video, is I am no longer a Jagex moderator. I have taken the last 2 weeks thinking about the survey and the situation that both the community was in and the situation that I felt I was in, and I've come to the determination that I cannot possibly be the person that I've been for years in this community and a Jagex moderator simultaneously. I also did want to reiterate that I still care about improving the creator space, which is what I was initially contracted by Jagex to do, and I still care a lot about making the game the best I possibly can. It's a situation where I've had to set this very clear boundary for my own personal well-being, and because clearly me being a Jagex moderator has caused, I would say, more harm than good in the community. But at the same time, I'm still open to working with Jagex in the future. It needs to be a relationship between a content creator and a company. This is a little bittersweet because it was really cool being a Jagex moderator. I really enjoyed a lot of what it had to offer. But at the same time, I know that this is the right choice and I feel really good about it. I mostly just want to make sure that a situation with the survey doesn't happen again, where I feel like I cannot speak my mind in front of my own audience without it becoming something bigger than what I've ever wanted it to be. I also wanted to say, I know this isn't really the video for it, but over the last couple weeks, if you're wondering what I've been doing, first thing I had to do is make up my decision and kind of figure out what my course of action was going to be. And the second thing I needed to do is talk to Jagex about this and make sure that we were on the same page. And although I think they liked having me as a JMOD, they were extremely understanding about how I felt relating to the survey and the position that I was in. And they were very, very amicable and open to me stepping down from being a Jagex moderator and continuing my work on the creator space, but not as a creator JMOD or a creator first, as just a creator. One other thing I wanted to touch on quickly while we're here, because I'm not making 2 sit-down videos in 1 week, that would be an absolute record. There were some people upset to see that I am a finalist in the Golden Gnome Awards this year. So I wanted to talk about that as well, because I mean, it's not really related, but I think some of the concerns and some of the thoughts on that from the community are similar. So let's just bunch everything together and I'll talk about that right now. So first off, if you're wondering why I am a part of the Golden Gnomes this year, it's because the Golden Gnomes are a community-nominated and community-voted award. It's not an award that Jagex picks, where obviously that would be a huge conflict of interest if I was working with the people who were picking an award for me. But on top of that, I also did want to go through the 3 kind of biggest points of criticism I've seen and just chat about them a little bit. Whether you agree or disagree with me, I think it's good to have conversations about these things, and it's definitely a difficult topic, and it was personally a difficult decision for me to actually include myself in the Golden Gnomes this year, and I wanted to talk about why I did. The first thing I wanted to say is when the Golden Gnome nomination season kind of began, I brought it up with the expectation that there was no way I would be able to be a part of the Golden Gnomes. So I said, I'm expecting not to be a part of them this year. Is that correct? And what I was told is, no, why wouldn't you be able to be eligible for them? It's a community voted, community nominated award. So internally, I was told it was completely fine, but I did check and I was absolutely willing to not be a part of them this year. The three main pieces of criticism I've seen, first one is that I am a Jagex employee, and because of that, there is no way that it is fair for me to be in the Golden Gnomes. This is an interesting one to me because I think it's really well connected with what has gone on with the survey and with me being a Jagex moderator, and it's another good reason why I shouldn't be a Jagex moderator, and I'm glad I'm not a Jagex moderator anymore. Because I think when you say the title JMOD, it comes with an expectation of role. And in truth, this is an interesting one to see kind of repeatedly hammered away that like, he's an employee, this isn't fair. Because I've actually never been a Jagex employee at any point. I have only ever been an external contractor who was brought in to do two specific things. Part of the onus falls on, the title of the JMOD and everything else and what that means to a lot of people. But I also think part of the onus falls on me for that, because I was very vague when I announced what my role was going to be, and I was vague because I didn't actually know exactly what it was going to entail 7 months ago, right before starting the new role. And I think what I should have done is probably made another video a couple months later, basically detailing exactly what I was doing, because I'm not an internal employee, I never have been, and I likely never will be. The second point of criticism I've seen is that as a creator manager, obviously I'm working on Runefest and the Golden Gnomes, and that obviously is a huge conflict of interest. And I completely agree, that would be a massive conflict of interest if I was the person counting the votes, or I was, someone presenting at the main stage or whatever else it may be. If I was involved in the Golden Gnomes in any way, I would not have been a part of the Golden Gnomes. So just did want to clarify, I'm contracted to do a couple very specific things. The Golden Gnomes and Runefest and any of that experience is not a part of my responsibilities whatsoever. I will be attending Runefest with my wife as a creator, the same way I have every other previous in-person Runefest since 2018. The last point of criticism I've seen cropping up a little bit is that the Golden Gnomes are unfairly favoring me because I have an editor and I have others that help me with my videos. And I wanted to touch on this one as well because it's actually the only reason I'm really wanting to be a part of the Golden Gnomes this year, and the only reason I didn't take myself out. I don't talk about this too much because I think ultimately it doesn't really matter, and the way that people run their businesses can be very much up to them. And I also don't think this is a very smart business model, but the reason why video output has been decent and the reason I have a team and I have an editor is because I actually run this channel at a loss. So more than 100% of the revenue that this channel generates goes back to the people that put all their time into helping make the videos the best they possibly can. And that's the main reason why, unlike in previous years where I've taken myself out of the running or I've asked to not be included, this year I wanted to be included because it's not just a me award. It's also an award for my team. And my team was extremely ecstatic and excited to have been nominated for 2 different YouTube categories, because this channel is the result of not only my hard work, but their hard work as well. And the specific video that was nominated for Video of the Year is also a video that editor Nathan worked extremely hard on. It took a ton of edits and a ton of passes and a ton of revisions to get it to where it ended up being, and I didn't feel comfortable robbing my own team of that opportunity. So anyway, that's the situation with me. That's the situation with the Golden Gnomes. That's the situation with the survey, and I am no longer a JMOD, so we can hang up Mod RS guy in the rafters. Outside of that, I just wanted to say I appreciate everyone who took the time to watch and or listen to this video. I really appreciate it, and I'm really glad to have been able to have this conversation. With that said, take care everyone, look after yourselves, and I hope to see you again very soon for another video that hopefully has a little bit more actual content in it.